meeting of the Clinton Airport Authority to order. Councilman Stewart, would you lead us in prayer?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are thankful this evening because we can come together as a part of Clinton. Maybe the cream crop of Clinton tonight because we have people here that are interested. And we ask your direction, guidance upon this council this evening, and help us as we would sit down at a table to eat a meal to properly chew and digest our food and take our time so we can get the best nourishment from it. Help us to take our time with this meeting tonight and chew the items before us and digest them and take our time to get the best from it that we can. And in all the decisions that we make, may they be for the best of our community and that we can see progress, that we can see an excited people in this part of the state, and we can be recognized once again as a whole. For these things, we just give you praise and thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Stewart, pledge. Yeah.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice thing is Well, it's a nice, deep resonant tone because we have more people here tonight. And I can't welcome everybody, but I know that we have the selection committee for our economic development position there. I think everybody's here tonight, so welcome to everybody that's here, be a part of our meeting, and other guests. The consent agenda is before you. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Trustee Hewlin?
Yes.
Trustee Rodolph?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Rosales?
Yes.
Chairman Brown?
Yes. Thank you. Action item. Consider to take action on the renewal of agreement with Tracy Yoder as a fixed-base operator of the Clinton Regional Airport. Tracy, are you going to?
If you would make your way to the front, Tracy, the city has a 3-year agreement with Ms. Yoder to serve as a fixed-base operator. That agreement expires June 30, 2018. The one that's presented to you is presented without any change. I thought that if the councilman had any operational questions as to the airport or terms of the agreement, that Tracy would be best to answer that.
Well, the agreement's exactly the same as the last agreement.
I believe so.
I think you should be commended for the number of grants that you've gotten us for the airport over the past several years. You've done a good job.
You are the grant writer.
I'm the grant requester.
Oh, the grant requester.
You know, I might mention at this time, if you would briefly describe the infrastructure that you have at the Clinton Regional Airport has that is the only one like it that has been funded with FAA money in the United States.
I think you're referring to our new Jet A fuel system. So we're the first to be funded by FAA in the state of Oklahoma. And actually, I think there's very few others that have been funded like that. So we're the first.
I was just going over that, and I have one question. I called the mayor today, asked him about it. Do we have 2 courtesy cars?
Yes.
And my only question was, why do we need 2 courtesy cars? Why do we have 2 courtesy cars? Do we use both of them
Yes, all the time.
all the time?
Yep.
That's it? Hadn't had a chance to call you and ask you, so.
Come visit me. So.
All right.
And in our conversation, we were talking about, we haven't had a chance, we don't have, everybody's not a pilot or is out there all the time, but our airport is really a very nice facility. And I'm sure you can give a guided tour to anybody that occasionally would like to come out.
I love to do that.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Well, you've done a good job. I would make a motion to approve this agreement.
Second.
Trustee Hewlin?
Yes.
Trustee Rodolph?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Rosales?
Yes.
And Chairman Barone.
Yes. Okay, any other remarks from trustees in this airport authority? Mark?
No, sir.
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Trustee Hewlin.
Yes.
Trustee Rosales. Trustee Rodoff.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
And Chairman Barone.
Yes. Call to order the regular meeting of the Clinton Industrial Authority. You have received your consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Trustee Hewlin.
Yes.
Trustee Rosales.
Yes.
Trustee Rodoff.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
And Chairman Barone.
Yes. All right, we have one action item. Consider and take action on the Clinton Wrestling Booster Club application for tourism. Who do we have? We have somebody with the grant team that wants to.
Oh, no, we
You want to address this?
Yeah, the Wrestling Boosters have requested a grant. They requested $5,000 to put on a wrestling tournament in downtown Clinton. I believe it's the 26th? or 20
No, it's the 7th,
The what?
July the 7th.
July 7th. On July the 7th, it's kind of a new in vogue thing with these wrestling clubs to put on an open air tournament. They plan to do it downtown Clinton. They're gonna cordon off a couple of streets and do it at Frisco on 6th Street and have 10 mats. They're hoping to have 300 to 400 wrestlers compete, and with that, and I'm talking about the peewees up to high school age, so there'll be a lot of parents following, and grandparents following. Should be a lot of people coming to town. Initially, when they were doing the application, they tweaked some things to make it be more sales tax friendly for Clinton. They're gonna weigh in at 2 to 4 range, getting them here a little early. They plan to start wrestling at 7, they'll wrestle until they're done. A lot of times that goes, into the 11 o'clock, maybe even midnight, and then they're done. Hopefully the deal is, a lot of these people will be coming from eastern Oklahoma and all over the state, that they'll make arrangements to stay Saturday night, maybe enjoy, go ahead and stay and make it a mini vacation and maybe stay at the water park or see some of our other attractions on Sunday. But we didn't quite feel like, since it wasn't a multi-day event, that it quite met the criteria for the amount they asked for, which was $5,000. And so we approved $2,500 we recommend approving $2,500 for that event.
And then as in all events, you guys follow up after the event and do your due
Yes, sir.
diligence to see how the event actually played out.
And then track sales tax also from that prior year to that month when they come available also. We do exit interviews and just things like that. And everyone so far is more than happy to return on investment.
So this is gonna be outdoor. The last outdoor
In July.
wrestling. Huh? The last outdoor thing I ever went to was the Great Bowl. And they were at high school wrestling. And it was in the old, you remember the old football field up here? We used to have outdoor, it used to have outdoor wrestling. Well, that's pretty interesting. Okay, you guys have any other comments or questions?
Sounds like good. Max, you've done a good job in getting all these different programs before the council. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I think this is a good plan. I recommend that we award the grant of $2,500.
Trustee Hewlin.
Yes.
Trustee Rodoff.
Yes.
Trustee Rosales.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart. And Chairman Barone.
Yes. Oh, there it is right there. Where's Gene? Did you leave?
Go down.
Go down?
I don't know, is it still open?
Oh, yeah, there it is. Which one is it?
Yeah.
That one?
No. Don't click on the shortcut.
No, click on the short code.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Next.
Okay. I think that was a terrorist attack, what it looks like.
I'm not quite sure.
Well, you're gonna get some of it. Here, there. Yeah. Do you have any comments, Ms. Sarah?
You mean about what's on the screen?
No. What's not on the screen was Gene.
I'm telling you, that's what I do.
Yeah.
He let us.
This one? Can you do it?
Yes, I
Look at
can.
you.
We're gonna have to take your mouse. I want to comment that we've had a couple of interesting parties in the CIC, the industrial park out there, so that's always good, some interesting fires. So
That's an old
there's some
song.
tire kicking going on. Don't mention any names.
That's not right.
That's a condemnation,
That's not
Sean.
even on our presentation.
What was it?
Should you not?
It's on the city council meeting.
Yeah, I got you. Huh?
Right here. No?
Look at that.
There we go.
Wait a minute.
There you
Is that-
go.
Wait a minute, is that the day?
Yeah.
No, that's today.
Launch it. Okay. You know what a Toron is? It's a technological moron. And I'm not going to identify anybody up here on this basis of things. I know. Don didn't mean I was talking to him. That's not exactly, he didn't do it. Okay, are we back? Okay, any other comments from councilmen, trustees? Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Trustee Rosales?
Yes.
Trustee Hewlin?
Yes.
Trustee Rodoff?
Yes.
And Trustee Stewart? And Chairman Brown?
Yes. All right, call to order the regular meeting of the Clinton City Council. You received your consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Trustee Hewlin?
Yes.
Trustee Rosales?
Yes.
Trustee Rodoff?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart? And Chairman Brown?
Yes. All right, we have these action items to take care of. Action item A, consider and take action on staff recommendations regarding bids for concentrate line from the reverse osmosis plant to 28th Street manhole.
Lonnie, would you address that, please?
Yeah, we took bids on these, open bids for 21 days, and we pull up the numbers. There was our two bids for the labor to install that. The Lone Hickory was the lowest bid at $60,000. And that was our recommendation that we accept that bid. Concentrate line.
Well, I have a question. Where do we stand in helping Tim Davis get a line from the plant over to his ice plant?
We have discussed plumbing the plant such that pure RO water could be provided to someone that, like Tim's expressing interest in, that pure water. So he's aware that we can supply it to him. But if it is a line that is run to his plant, from the RO plant by the city, then it is going to be required to be engineered, designed, and approved by DEQ. And it would be a line that was installed purely for his personal use. Now, if it's a private line, that he runs from his plant to our RO plant, all we gotta do is set a meter out there, he hooks up to it, and he's good to go, and I don't think DEQ would be involved at that time.
Well, they'd be out of the picture on that.
Have we been, you know, I've been talking about this for 3 or 4 months. Have we been communicating with Mr. Davis?
He knows, yes, sir, he knows the status of the situation.
But see, I had initially, in our discussions, put his line in our line and run it from the plant, and stop on the railroad crossing and run that line over to his plant.
I don't think DEQ.
You can't do that, because DEQ is already set, and I was at a meeting today, and I'll update you on that for a little bit later. But they're coming out to inspect this brash water line, for themselves.
As soon as they inspect it, can we put his line in?
Well, again, we'll be putting the line in, they'll come inspect the first part of the line coming out the wall, and then I don't expect to see them after it hits the railroad tracks.
But we need to be, Mark, we need to be working with Mr. Davis.
Well, we made him aware that there's water there for him to come get. I don't think you should put a treated water line in the same trench on the top of is what boils down to a sewage line.
Yeah, you can't put a sewer line and a water line next to each other. There has to be, even on the golf course water line, we have to be 10 foot off of that golf course line. There has to be a distance between. Because it's, even though it's raw water, it's considered fresh water in the sewer line.
What have we talked to him about that?
He knows the situation. been told that there is water at the RO plant.
How about you're talking about
He can come get.
the sewer line problem.
Mhm.
When you talk,
I
is he
don't
aware
know,
of
Tim,
that?
I don't know if Tim's aware of that situation or not.
Gentlemen, I think what Mr. Rodolph is getting to is the fact that we kind of discussed this, and that in past conversations, it's been discussed that was something that we felt like we needed to do to help Mr. Davis, and it appears to me that maybe we're not moving in a direction that's, you know.
Well, let me explain something.
No.
Don, if you would, Tim is hooked up to the, 8 or 10 inch water main on Custer.
Correct.
And I believe we installed infrastructure at the city's expense to benefit him. So we have done things to help Mr. Davis.
Specifically this line that was been discussed.
Well, it can't be put in the same trench. But if it's his line, if he lays the line,
What is the separation, is it 10 foot or 5 foot?
It'd be,
It's 5 foot?
if we put it on the west side of the of the golf course line, we do 5 foot. But if we put it on the east side, it's gonna have to be 10 foot.
then the east side is the opposite side of where his plant.
Yes. So it'd be better if we were putting it on the golf course on the west side, and then as it turns, goes across to him. And again, we have to have that separation. And again, if we put it in, then we're gonna be subject to DEQ requirements. And that means we have to turn in for a permit for that.
Well, he knew all along, he was going, he's not asking the city to pay for this line. But Mark, I would suggest you go talk to him and explain to him that we can't put his line in our trench now.
Okay.
Make sure he's just aware of the restrictions.
I mean,
I'm sure he's.
see, I was not aware of that we couldn't do that until this evening.
He'll be told.
Okay, did you have anything else on this particular?
No, it's just my recommendation.
Are there any other
That's what
questions?
makes it
Do I hear a motion?
I think the bid's a good bid. Same guy put all the lines in, I move we accept the low bid, Ron Hickory.
Trustee Rodolph,
Yes.
trustee Rosales,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hewlin,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Action item B, consider and take action on staff recommendation regarding bids for concentrate line materials.
Wait for the numbers. Again, we had 2 bids, Ferguson and Pioneer. Of course, we went with Ferguson. Again, all this material is spec'd out for brash water, so it's really salty, mineral, stuff like that, so there's quite a bit of special material. But that bid come in at $81,431.35, and it's our recommendation to go with Ferguson.
Any questions?
I will make this comment. Originally, the engineer's estimate for this concentrate line was $525,000. We're quite a bit less than that, $60,000 for labor and $81,000 for materials, so.
Did we get rid of the
We're way
engineer?
under budget.
Get rid of the engineer, huh? 500,000?
$525,000.
I'll make a recommendation, we approve the purchase of materials for Ferguson.
Second.
Councilman Hewlin,
Yes.
Councilman Stewart,
Yes.
Councilman Rosales,
Yes.
Councilman Rodolph,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
On this item, what's the estimated start date and completion time?
Talking to Wes, and Ferguson probably have the equipment here on the 25th, material, and Wes would like to start that day if he gets done with Gary over.
How many days to complete it?
He thinks 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And to be honest, guys, we're kind of in a bind for that. We're planning on starting the sand filters with West Tech on the 18th of June. So, I mean, at that point, they'll be going through stuff, but the following week, we will be flushing water. We either can go to the wet well or we can go down the concentrate line. So if we go to the wet well, we'll have to pump it on up to the sewer. But yeah, we do definitely need to get rid of that water. We won't make our own water, but we'll have sand water.
Is it, since you brought this up, at that time when we're starting the plant and going through things, when is it that we ran our pilot study? Have we run a pilot study to see what the estimated cost of operation or materials costs or with our water yet?
Yes, we did an original power, study for power. And if the plant were to run full force, it would be about $60,000 a month. That's at the 3 million to capacity. Right now, Jason, what we're talking about doing is running one RO and one sand filter, which would be 4 pumps, and that's pretty well it. I'm trying to work through the blending process. I'd like to run about 150 gallons of RO a minute and 200 gallons of sand filter water, which puts us at about 350 gallons a minute, which would be 500,000 a day into the 24-inch.
500,000 a day, which would translate approximately to.
Okay,
energy costs.
normally, I think, Don, we're, at this time of year, we're about 1.5, 1.7,
We were at 1.8 yesterday.
1.8, so it's a little harder time, but as time goes on, our water capacity will pick up. But Lake Clinton's pretty well supplied all that right now, so adding that blend in there, again, please understand that we can blend the water a number of different ways. We can have straight water with no sand filters, we can have filtered water, and we can have RO water. So there's 3 types of water we can get out of that.
With the could then back online at some point, that would also be a participant in
Yeah.
providing the water.
Yeah.
So you're not seeing anything close to maxing out.
So, what I did, some number, cross numbers on to answer Jason's question.
About $10,000 a month in utility then.
We're looking between 5 and 6,
Okay.
which is less than even some of our lift stations.
Okay.
Because we're gonna run at a very low speed and low volume, so, we're not gonna push it. But please know that at any point, that RO unit can run 450 gallons a minute, and your sand filters can run 600 gallons a minute. So you could be over 1,000 gallons a minute if you had to have it at any given point in time. It's just a matter of turning the VFDs up on the motors.
Thank you.
Next line. Okay. Any other questions? You're staying up here, aren't you?
Yeah, I got one
Consider
more.
to take action on staff recommendation regarding bids for fiber optic line.
Again, we had 2 bidders, that's out of Moore, which is Belton Communication, and Lone Hickory. Again, Betts came in at $115,498.37. If you guys remember, and some of you council members wasn't here, when we put the golf course line, we put all the ductwork in for the fiber optic line. So it's all in, there's a little bit to complete on it, tying everything in. The Betts deal is to install the rest of the pipe and all the media boxes and the container boxes and hook everything up so that we just take a computer or a Cat5 cable and plug into the boxes for power.
Is this also a little bit under the projected amount?
Yes, sir. I was projecting that to be right at 180,000.
So this is the line that we ran from the golf course wells around RO plant at the same
Yes,
time? And it also came to City Hall as well?
Yes, sir.
Right.
So we'll loop that, and I'll kind of break that down. The golf course, the 2 golf course lines go to a quasi-box, and they have 24 pairs. And we pick up 48 pairs to the city office, then 144 pair, our single strand, all the way to our old plant. So we allowed growth for anything that we wanted to do. It'll tie everything together. And it's our main function as far as our SCADA and our communications for. We are running on air fiber right now, which has been real reliable, but this will switch either way. If something happens to the fiber, the air fiber will pick it up. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but our air fiber at Lake Plant, the West Side High Tower, is 100 gigs a minute by the time you blink your eye. very, very fast. He's been very, very long.
Now your motion?
Make a motion, we approve the low bid from Betts and Morton.
Second.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Stewart?
Yes.
Councilman Rosales?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes. Consider,
I got one more thing to talk about. I want to go back, I mentioned a while ago about being at DEQ today. We're waiting on the permit for the concentrate line. It's been added to the RO addendum. It's an addendum from the RO plant. I expect to have that probably Tuesday or Wednesday of this next week. They gave us some specifications. They want station markers, they want as-bills, they want an engineer's PD signed off on it. So we're making all that happen. We negotiated that out today.
So we can't actually start construction until that permit is in hand.
Yes, sir.
We're going as far as we can with the process.
okay.
But hopefully by the 25th, we'll have, and she said this morning or this afternoon that she can have it in 24 hours if we did. So we'll have that, hopefully, talking to Brian and Tyler, we should have that to them by Friday.
All right, action item D, consider to take action on renewal of ambulance service agreement with Sinor Emergency Medical Service. Brother Red, you're going to present
As soon as you read back the specs on the power.
on the one? All right, yeah, some got gigs. All right.
I've just got a little chart, and this coincides with you got one, then I'll give you another. You betcha. Okay, just a matter of clarification, our agreement with the city is in place through September 30th of 2020, so we're actually not here to renew our contract. But actually to update the rates that we charge for our service to insurance companies, Medicare, so on and so forth. Our contract allows us to make changes to this chart if there are changes in insurance or Medicare procedures, and there have been a few radical ones here lately. So this is just basically a move that coincides with a recent move by some big healthcare providers, Health Choice being the big one. They've gone from being 100%, so if we send them a bill for $450, they send us $450 in return for that service. They've changed to a 60% reimbursement. So basically all we've done is gone and changed our rates that we bill to these companies to offset the reductions that they've posted to us in about the last month, if that makes sense. So
no increase to the customer.
no, this has to do with how we do business with our citizens' insurance providers, not the citizen themselves. So this is just a counter move to what the insurance companies have recently done. And again, Health Choice is the big, there's a whole list of them, but Health Choice is obviously a huge provider, especially municipality school systems, that sort of thing. So it's just a simple move to coincide with the big change that they've made.
Anybody have any questions on that?
I can certainly understand why you would need to do that, if they can cut back what their reimbursement is. You done us a good job. I'd make the motion if we approve this amendment.
I'll second that motion.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Stewart?
Yes.
Councilman Rosales?
Yes.
Brown? Mayor Brown?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you, John. All right, action item F. Discuss, consider, and take action on trusting to insure for the, I'm gonna come back to him. We're gonna be asking in E to look at the two topics. and trust indenture, which is F, and then G, which is compensation requirement for us to look at and to do, to come forward is Russ Meacham. And Russ is representing the committee that we appointed several months ago now, the selection committee for economic development director. And I assume after your presentation, you'll entertain questions. You'll be dealing with both these issues. Is my assumption correct?
Sure.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Well, as you guys know, we've started the process of looking for an economic developer. You guys have appointed the committee, there's 10 members of us, plus the mayor sits on that group. We've been working diligently in that process. We've come to the point where we need to make some decisions. We need you all to make some decisions on exactly how we're going to move forward. One of the big pieces is looking at funding of this position and how that funding is going to take place, where are we going to establish that as far as the hierarchy goes and move those things forward. As a committee, we've kind of entertained a handful of options. We've looked at what some other municipalities have done, talking with one of the consultants that we have now engaged to help us in this review process. And we've come to the point that we need to present what we feel is probably the best option in our mind to move economic development forward for the city of Clinton. You know, this is, the mayor speaks of it, but it is kind of a historic piece. You know, we've not done this in 50 years at least, and probably looking at maybe what we're going to present this evening, a first time ever, you know, for the city of Clinton. Now, it's not unusual in other communities that I work with, but for us, as the hub city, to do something new, this will be revolutionary, and it will be a first. It will be stepping outside of the normal boxes that we operate in. But I say that with a big but it's going to be very consistent with what we do with our other trust authorities, and very consistent with the way the airport authority works, and what was the hospital authority and the industrial authority and the recreation authority, and we can go on down the list. You know, we have these Title 60 trusts that are set up out there. Part of the discussion, and one of the things that we've looked at as the committee and tried to solve, is how do we put all of these facets and all of these directions that we're getting pointed, how do we put all those together and move in one direction? You know, the things that we've heard are things that, you know, and you guys have reiterated these yourselves, you know, but I mean, the city manager, does this economic development position need to answer to the city manager? Does he answer to the council? Where does this fall? Is it directly to the council? Is it indirectly to the council? Does he have supervisors? There's just a whole lot of things that we need to design and we need to figure out. That's what we put together here, is our suggestion coming before you this evening. That suggestion is that we create another Title 60 trust for the city of Clinton. As in all of our other authorities, this Clinton Economic Development Authority will be a Title 60 trust. The city itself will be the beneficiary of that trust. So everything that's in that trust at the end of the day belongs to the city. The Title 60 trust part of it gives us some legal separation, and you can talk to your attorney and have him give the rest of that part. But bottom line, it gives us a new entity, and it gives us a place that we can operate economic development activities. One of the reasons we felt that this is an important piece is because potentially the city of Clinton is not going to be the only participant in this economic development activity. The Industrial Foundation has expressed a major interest. As a matter of fact, is the one at this point that is paying the bills for the recruitment process. Right now, the city of Clinton is funding $0 towards the search of finding us an economic developer. The Industrial Authority, or the Industrial Foundation, has been very grateful and generous and said, here, we will help you all out in this process. And so they're the ones that are picking up the tab. Long term, there will probably be quite a few partnerships with the Industrial Foundation because they're an entity that potentially has some money that they're willing to invest in Clinton's economic development. So we want to make sure that we're creating a mechanism and a board and an entity that can do that. Now, this entity that is being created, the way it's structured and the way it comes up is very similar to most all of our authorities. The difference being that this council, instead of this council being the board of trustees for this entity, it will be 5 appointed individuals. And those 5 appointed individuals will then serve as the trustees of the Clinton Economic Development Authority. They will be responsible for the hiring, firing of the economic developer. They will be responsible for holding the meetings. They will do their roles just as you do as councilmen and as the authority trustees on the other authorities. They will serve that role. How do we get those individuals? You all, as a council, will be appointing those individuals. Therefore, at the end of the day, you all have ultimate control over what goes on out there. There are provisions in the trust indenture for you all to remove any of those trustees. It takes the 2/3 vote of the council to remove them, but you can remove anybody that's out there. Likewise, as seats come open, you all will be the ones appointing the people back to that. What doesn't happen is the day in and day out activity of you all having to have the Economic Development Authority as another council agenda here. They will meet separately. They will post their own meeting times. They will hold their own meetings, all subject to the Open Meetings Act. Guys, nothing's going to be different than any of our other Title 60 trusts, but they will be held separately. I will tell you this from a current operating standpoint. I have multiple communities that we work with whereby these authorities are set up and different boards are appointed and groups are out there running the overall operations at your all's appointment, but running day in and day out operations for different entities. It's a legal piece, still open to the public, still open to Open Records Act, Open Meetings laws. All of those things are going to have to be complied with. But you all are effectively passing on that torch. As many things as you all had to come to know being councilmen and setting on this and setting on the individual trust authorities, whether it be streets, whether it be water and sewer or trash or airport or parks and recs and ball fields, and may I keep on naming the items that you all have to be experts in to award these bids and to manage these operations. What this is doing is removing part of another responsibility, and that being direct economic development, and putting that then in the hands of a committee of 5, where those trustees will go out and serve and work to make sure that stuff happens. Tonight, as we come before you, there's going to be a couple of items. The first one is setting up the trust itself. So that will be a significant piece. I think that's been provided to you. The next piece that we're going to address, I think, is the appointment. Is that the appointment of the individuals who are there?
Yeah, that would be within the trust.
They're in the trust. And then the funding of it, and let me just quickly address that. One of the items that came up in our discussions with other economic developers within the state, with the research committees that we've been working with, is the fact that funding of economic development is sometimes very questionable. To get a quality individual, to get somebody to come in, they don't want to come in for a one-year stint and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to, if I don't produce in a year, then I'm not going to have it. Economic development, guys, is not something that happens necessarily in 1 year. It's measurable and quantifiable in that year. Over time, you will see the results of economic development, but to expect day in and day out results day one, it just doesn't turn around that quickly. So what we've looked at is kind of a 5-year timeline and a 5-year piece to kind of get us. We want to be able to present to all of the candidates that are coming to interview with us that we have a 5-year commitment. We have a 5-year commitment from the board. We have a 5-year commitment to this authority via a funding mechanism so that there is money out there to do it. Right now, we have about $1.2 million in the economic development funds here in the city of Clinton. What we're asking for this evening is a commitment of $500,000 of those funds over the next 5 years, $100,000 a year, to be available to transfer over to the Economic Development Authority for them to pay the salaries and wages of this individual. We don't know if it's going to be $100,000, but it will be that or something less, based on what we're seeing right now in the market. Now, somebody comes back and blows us out of the water and it's more than $100,000, we're gonna have to either look at our old card and figure out, do we get outside incentives to do that? Do we come back to the city council to do that? But we need a number to start with, and we need some place whenever we go to these individuals that are coming in, where we can stand up to them and say, look, we've got this new trust authority solely set up for you to come in and operate in. We have this funding mechanism coming from the city out of their dedicated economic development funds, which they've already accumulated more than enough to fund this for 5 years. And we're going to get $100,000 a year to cover and pay for your salary and the start of whatever needs to be done there. We've got some outside sources that are already interested in helping, being our industrial foundation. They are interested in participating with us in these endeavors. And so let's get moving day one whenever you get to the ground in Oklahoma. So in order for us to move forward and really talk to those individuals, we felt that this was a necessity. We need the backbone in place so that we can now build off of that. And that is what you see presented for you here tonight. Can I answer the question?
No.
I have one question, and because this article in today's newspaper mentioned the fact that any obligation, financial obligations, would be bear responsibility of the trust itself. Is that, because I noted in one of the articles here, I have it right in front of me, but it says, any such indebtedness shall be deemed to be incurred and issued on behalf of the beneficiary and may be general or special obligations of the trust, and the trustees may from time to time determine, and it goes in. So is the city going to be obligated for any involvement as far as bonds or financial implications?
Zero. It's just like every other, and that's either that provision or a very similar provision is in every one of our trusts.
Okay.
And what that allows is joint financing. So the debt of the authority, the trust, is going to be the debt of the trust of the authority. Just like any other entity, there's a separation. It will require, and if you read down through there, it actually requires ratification by this council. Matter of fact, this authority cannot go out and borrow money without you all ratifying the fact that they're borrowing. Now, in no way it commits the city to it, but as a beneficiary, we're committing a potential corpus. Part of the trust that is created, we're going to be pledging that. And debt is not what we're talking about issuing right now, but I just want to make sure this is clear. Whenever we pledge that corpus, you all have to give us, you have to ratify the fact that potentially we could lose that corpus. And you all do that, you do it now with every bond and every revenue note that we issue. You all do the exact same thing for the PWA, you do it for the airport authority, you do it for the rec authority, you do it for all of those entities if it happens. This is the exact same provision in this convention.
David, I think you've done a good job in working, and I think the committee's done a good job. I think
Well, it's a unanimous committee. You're representing a unanimous committee, and it has not been a quick thing. We didn't all come together several months ago with this particular focus. And through a learning process, which we've immersed ourselves in to make sure we only have one chance to do this right. And so there has been no effort to speedily move into, say, a selection process. And we have just been very deliberate in our thought. The first people to talk to us were was one of the finest economic developers in the state of Oklahoma, Enid Alliance Authority came to speak to us, and then a representative of Oklahoma Municipal League came, and we spent several hours together. And the process has been learning for our group, because we're just absolutely clearly not wanting to make a fundamental error. And what Russ in a big package is talking about is that this brings us to a point of being very serious in Clinton about doing economic development. This ups the ante. And I think it not only tells our citizens that we're serious, but it tells prospective professionals who are interested in coming to Clinton that we're very serious about this working. and we just we want to cover all our bases. So I appreciate that, but this has been an absolute total work at this point. And I might mention this too, and you brought it up, and LR's out here. But Clinton is a beautiful community in a lot of ways, but its size makes it really perfect for private-public cooperative efforts. And our business community years ago, back in the 50s, wasn't it, LR? I don't remember when the foundation actually came into being. The money that these men have overseen for decades has come to them initially from businesses like mine, like yours, and Daily News, and people that have taken stock in Clinton. And to their credit, they've shown an enormous interest in this effort to bring a developer. And as a result, our committee, and we did not know going in we were going to do this, but we have hired. The only thing we've done so far is we've matched competitive executive headhunter groups. And we wanted someone that knows what they're doing and has a proven track record to work on our behalf to bring us candidates after they've interviewed us and understand this community. And this is what Russ was referring to, the PACE group. And we're at that level right now. And that expense has been completely taken care of by private business dollars. And the future of this is going to be completely dependent, not on public monies, but on a buy-in from the Clinton business community. It has to. So the future is one of cooperation, and we're going to, whoever comes in here is going to be certainly a private-public partner, understanding that. Any questions? And he's dealt now with two issues here that we're going to take up separately, but any other questions?
Just on the 500,000 or the 100,000 a year, can we do that, commit for 5 years, or will the council have to come back each year and just agree to do that, or can we, for the next 5 years, be
To
100,000?
the extent that you have the funds available today, you can appropriate for the next 100 years if you chose to.
Okay.
$1 a year for the next 100 years if you had $100 in your coffers.
Okay.
I think the concern comes sometimes whenever you guys go to new elected trainings and they stand up and they tell you you can only commit for 1 year. You can only commit for 1 year. That is very true. You can, if you had $0 in the bank today and you knew you were going to collect $100,000 in this next year, you could only commit $100,000. You have what we're looking at is about $1.2 million in ED funds available, and so we want to commit $500,000 of those.
You might mention too, if you didn't, that this fund actually has been bringing in yearly. Now, this is another reason we kind of came up with this $100,000 figure. That's the replenishment amount this fund has been receiving from that, is it 1/8 penny?
Yes.
Oh, since 2005. It is built up, and it brings in almost $100,000 a year. So, I don't know, the people of Clinton, the wisdom of the people of Clinton, I wasn't a part of this. You've done, I mean, what led to this, making an economic development savings account? I've been to a mayor's roundtable just in the last 2 months, and I'm talking to Elk City, and they want to understand how we have this money available. How do we have this money available? Well, it's because the citizens of Clinton decided to have this money available for the right thing at the right time, and this is the right moment. We wouldn't be able to do this if it hadn't been for that. But 100,000, is that about right?
Yes, yeah, about $100,000. And just to say something, you know, guys, too often, and I know you guys are here, so I don't want to belabor the point, but too often, the councils expect the city manager to be the one out doing this. If you look just at tonight's agenda, over the things that Mark has to oversee and look at and take care of, and trying to add economic development inside the city of Clinton is outside the reach of what one individual can do. That's why we have to have somebody else. That's why we've got to get somebody that knows and understands this process in here to do it and to do it right.
I had one question, David.
Go ahead.
What 5 names were you going to recommend?
Right here. In fact, actually, I should have it written down. The 5 names, I think we transferred all this, because Gene's gone.
I can know that Gene's.
It should be on here, it should be in there when I tap this and we get to that point. Russ Meacham, Keith Ventris, Max McKenzie, Canada Deweese, Ken Baker, Dupree, Deweese, Dupree. I'm thinking Sean, he just talked to me.
That's close.
Yeah, you're close. Well, yeah, I won't tell him about the Marcus Dupree deal. Okay. That's another story. Those 5. But their names are going to be, they're in here. As we get to
I
that.
think, again, David, you've done a good job. I think it's a good plan.
There you go.
I would make a motion that we authorize this indenture with the 5 names, Ken Dupree, Russ Meacham, Keith Ventris, Max McKenzie, and Kenny Baker, along with David Barong as a council representative.
I second that.
You didn't mention that, but that, as council representative.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Stewart?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Rosales?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown?
Yes. Thanks, Russ. All
I'd
right.
like Mr. Russ Meacham to know he has my vote. You are running for office.
That's it.
Thanks, sir. Good
You
job.
want him to be your advocate. Okay, and that was action item F, and no. Yes, and then G, discuss and take action upon contract with the Clinton Economic Authority, and this would be the encumbrance agreement that Russ just alluded to about the $500,000.
Make a motion, we accept that, we've already discussed it, pretty clear.
Second.
Councilman Stewart?
Yes.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Rosales?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Mayor says we only have 1/10.
David, if I can make one comment, I think, I think this is a good plan, but I also think, we're a council manager, former government, I think that the city manager should be included in all meetings.
They certainly could be invited to come anytime they want to.
They're subject to open meetings also.
Yeah, and I will say this, because we haven't not been transparent, we just haven't had what we were wanting to say to the general public. But the way we've been handling this from the very beginning, city manager has been invited to all our gatherings with the executive committee. There's been a real cooperation of communication. Mark has given us a lot of information. He's also weighed in also during this process and will continue to. So I think what you're suggesting there would just be a continuation of what is going
Just
on.
merit the suggestion.
Well, and I think it's a fantastic suggestion. Yeah, that's great. Okay, Jason, anything else? Okay, Mark.
Not only to say that, along the lines of economic development, there is a veil of confidentiality that must exist in order for an economic development program to be successful. So I am in the utmost support of the action that the council has taken tonight. You must be able to operate, in the dark is a bad word in today's world, but that's how you have to be able to deal with some of the clients that are going to approach you. They want to know that their business is not going to be put on the street. I think that with the structure that you've taken from being the director of economic development in the past, I think it's very vital. I think you've done a good job. And, my hat's off to the selection committee because of the time and effort and professionalism that you have put into what you're doing. Now, you don't have the person chosen yet, but I think you're going to get the right person. I just think you're taking the right steps, the right effort to do it. So, from my office, thank you. I'm gonna be in support of what you do and what this person does. And I think that's a proper city manager's role. We're a resource. This person does not need to answer to me. I don't believe that, so I'm absolutely support of what you're talking.
And those are good words, and I want to thank the council for, and this is a historic move, and those of you who've been on this council for a while, you understand this, and so I'm appreciative that you provided this leadership tonight. Now, it is in front of us, and we will be moving diligently, interviewing candidates and moving toward the conclusion of this. The structure was necessary, and I'm very appreciative. Anything else?
Yeah, the only other thing, the swimming pool tower, if you haven't driven by to see it lately, do so. Looks better than the original, but it's what you expect from Tony Littleton. It's just kind of work the issue. That's all I got.
We skipped over E, was Russ's presentation, action item E?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I skipped over you guys, because I'm black. Yeah,
Move to adjourn.
okay.
Those golf course fence is just absolutely appealing.
Yeah.
It is so much better looking than a chain link fence.
Well, you ought to see the, what do they got out there today, Jill?
Total.
Totem pole. I mean, you'll think you're Tucumcari, right? I mean, or wherever that actually is, it's fantastic. That's just a whole nother positive thing. All minds clear? Second? To adjourn? Okay.
Councilman Rudolph?
Yes.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
Councilman Rosales?
Yes.
Councilman Stewart?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown?
Yes.
See you, buddy.